I spent $2,300 on my sister's baby shower, then she erased me like I never existed. I wish I could say it started with love and ended in betrayal, but really, it started with a spreadsheet, a Pinterest board, and the sinking realization that I was the only one giving a damn. My sister Jenna announced her pregnancy at our dad's birthday party in March, and the whole family lost their minds with excitement. Meanwhile, I was the one mentally calculating the cost of diaper cakes and balloon arches before she even hit the second trimester. It's not like we're made of money, but I had a little saved up, and since Jenna's always been the fun sister while I'm the organized one, I figured I'd step in. I planned the whole baby shower from start to finish: venue, catering, custom cookies with her baby's name on them, which she changed twice, by the way, games, decorations, and personalized party favors. I dropped over $2,300 on it without blinking, because she's my sister and I wanted her to have something special. I didn't even ask her to pay me back. The day of the shower, I was stressed but happy. I had gotten up at 6 a.m. to pick up the cake and coordinate deliveries. People were arriving, Jenna was glowing, and everything looked perfect, Instagram-worthy, even. And then, Ashley walked in. Now, Ashley is one of Jenna's old college friends, and I don't know what kind of unspoken grudge she has against me, but that woman is the human equivalent of a passive-aggressive email. She walked in late, brought a bottle of wine to a baby shower, who does that, and immediately started telling a story at the mimosa bar about this woman she knew who had a weird relationship with her mom. It was clearly about me. She even called the woman Morgan at one point. That's my name. I just laughed it off at first. What else could I do? I kept smiling, kept refilling drinks, kept making sure the diaper raffle cards were being collected. It was fine. Until it wasn't. Halfway through the shower, during gift opening, Ashley decided it was time to go full Real Housewives. Jenna was opening one of the bigger gifts, mine, by the way, a $280 stroller she put on her registry, and Ashley leaned back in her chair, wine in hand, and said, loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Wow, Morgan must really be trying to impress mommy dearest, huh? I mean, I'd probably be doing the most too if my relationship with my mom was that messed up. Remember when your mom said she needed therapy after one of your fights?" The room went dead quiet. I felt like I had been punched in the throat. There it was. My family trauma, weaponized for party entertainment. I looked at Jenna, who gave me this awkward half-smile and said, "Ashley's just joking. Guys, don't be weird." Joking? I stood there frozen for a few seconds, then I calmly placed the diaper cake back on the table, turned around, and walked out. I didn't say anything. I didn't cause a scene. I just left. I got in my car, hands shaking, and drove home. By the time I got back to my apartment, my phone had exploded with messages, mostly from my mom, some from Jenna, and even one from my aunt saying I had ruined the mood and made it all about myself. Apparently, Ashley cried after I left, said she felt attacked because of how I looked at her, and now the family is acting like I flipped a table and slapped someone. And here's the kicker. They want me to apologize. Yup, not Ashley. Me. Jenna said it was supposed to be her day, and that I always make things dramatic, and shouldn't have left so abruptly. My mom said she understood how I felt, but that I needed to be the bigger person for the baby. My cousin, who I barely talked to, texted me a link to a blog post about forgiveness. I swear to God, I haven't responded to any of them yet. I don't even know what I would say. I paid for that party. I planned every detail. I even skipped a work trip to be there. And the second some wine-soaked which weaponizes the worst chapter of my life for laughs, I'm supposed to eat it and smile? Nah, I'm not there yet. Maybe I won't ever be. But I'll tell you this, something about that moment changed the way I see all of them. The silence in that room when Ashley said what she said, that silence was louder than anything. The thing no one tells you about betrayal is that it doesn't always come with screaming or slammed doors. Sometimes it's just a room full of people who won't look you in the eye. That was what stuck with me after I left the shower. Not Ashley's drunk jabs. Not even Jenna's weak little "she's joking." It was the quiet. The kind of quiet where you suddenly realize, oh, I'm on my own here. These people don't have my back. The first 24 hours after the shower, I didn't answer a single message. I turned off my phone. I sat on my couch, ordered Thai food, and watched 3 seasons of some mindless show on Netflix just to avoid thinking. But by the next morning, my voicemail was full, and when I turned my phone back on, Jenna had posted a carousel of photos from the party with the caption, "Feeling so loved. Thank you to everyone who made yesterday so special. Especially my girls." No mention of me. No tag. Not even one photo of the decorations I broke my back over. But guess who did get a tag? Ashley, holding a mimosa and doing that duck face pout she always does like she's still 22 and trying to look cute for frat boys. The comments made me sick. People saying things like, so beautiful, and Ashley looks amazing, or best shower ever. I felt like I was watching a party I hadn't even been invited to. And then came the group chat. We have a family group chat that's usually just dumb memes, dog pictures, and updates about my cousin's new boyfriend. But Monday morning, it lit up like a Christmas tree. First, it was my aunt gushing about how grateful she was that Jenna's day turned out so amazing. Then my mom chimed in with, it was beautiful, despite the little hiccup. And then, because the universe really wanted to twist the knife, Ashley herself dropped in with a message. Sorry again if I offended anyone. You all know I just say what I think. But I love you, Jenna. Can't wait to meet my new niece. You know that moment when you realize someone isn't just careless, they're calculated? That was it for me. Ashley knew exactly what she was doing. The if I offended anyone line? That's not an apology, it's a performance. And that little bit about how she just says what she thinks? That's the oldest trick in the Mean Girl handbook. The part that really got me? My mom heart reacted it. I didn't say a word. I just left the chat. 2 minutes later, Jenna texted me directly. Seriously? You're just gonna leave the family group chat because of one joke? I didn't answer. I wasn't ready. I was still stuck on the fact that my own sister thought that was just one joke. Like dragging my relationship with our mom into a public moment was the same as teasing me about my outfit. But Jenna kept going. Ashley feels awful, by the way. She was crying after you left. Said she didn't mean anything by it. And now mom's upset because she thinks you hate her again. There it was. The guilt trip. My mom and I have a long, messy history. She could be hypercritical when we were growing up. She always made me feel like I had to earn her love, while Jenna just coasted on being the pretty one, the easy one. We'd been in and out of counseling for it over the years. I thought we'd made some kind of peace. But when Ashley dragged that into the open, and not a single person defended me, that peace felt fake. I finally texted Jenna back. You can't invite someone who hates me to a party I paid for, let her humiliate me, and then tell me to apologize. Her reply came fast. I didn't invite her to attack you. She was just drinking. And honestly, you're the one who made a scene by leaving. Couldn't you have just stayed and talked to me after? No, I couldn't. Because if I'd stayed, I would have exploded. I would have said things I couldn't take back. And then I would have been the one ruining the baby shower. So instead, I walked away. Quietly. Gracefully. And now I'm still somehow the villain in this story. By Wednesday, my mom finally called me. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Hi, sweetheart. I'm just calling because I don't want this to get out of hand. Jenna's hormonal and stressed, and Ashley, well, you know how she is. She didn't mean anything by it. We're all just trying to celebrate this baby, and I'd really appreciate it if you could be the bigger person here and apologize. Just to smooth things over. Love you. Be the bigger person. Again, that phrase has been following me since childhood. Every time Jenna said something cruel and I snapped back, be the bigger person. Every time I got hurt and tried to explain why it mattered, be the bigger person. Don't rock the boat. Keep the peace. Well, maybe I'm tired of being big. By Friday, I was done sitting in silence. Not because I had some grand plan to make things right or start a war, but because I was sick of holding it all in. The anger had turned into something heavier. Not just resentment, but this cold clarity, like I was finally seeing my family for who they actually were instead of who I wanted them to be. And that was the part that stung the most. It wasn't Ashley who betrayed me. It was Jenna, my own sister, who I had spent weeks stressing over centerpieces for, who I'd Venmo'd my last bonus to cover the damn venue deposit, who let her drunk friend mock me, then acted like I was being sensitive for not laughing along. So I sent one message to the group chat. I rejoined it just to post this. I paid for that baby shower. Every balloon, every cupcake, every inch of decor. I spent hours planning it so Jenna could feel celebrated. I didn't expect a medal. But I also didn't expect to be humiliated in front of everyone by someone who's had a problem with me for years. And I definitely didn't expect the entire room to sit in silence while it happened. I left because I wasn't going to cry in front of you. I didn't make a scene. I made a choice. If that offends you, then maybe ask yourselves why. Then I left the group again. Didn't take long for my phone to start buzzing. First was my cousin Megan, texting, wow. That was a lot. Then my aunt sent me a passive-aggressive, you've always been dramatic, but this feels extreme. You're not the only one who had a tough day. My mom didn't even bother texting. She sent me a screenshot of a therapist's contact info with the message, maybe this would help you sort through everything. But the message that threw me wasn't from family. It was from Ashley. Hey, not sure if this is about me, but if it is, I just want you to know I never meant anything personal. I was joking. I think you're great. I hope you can forgive me. I stared at that message for a long time. It was so perfectly vague and polished, like a PR statement crafted to absolve her of any wrongdoing without actually taking responsibility. That's Ashley to AT. She's one of those people who lives off being brutally honest, but folds the second someone calls her out. She doesn't want resolution, she wants silence. She wants me to accept the apology so she can go right back to making snide comments in her whine voice while everyone laughs and nods along. I didn't respond. That weekend, I got a call from my dad, which was rare in itself. We're close, but he's never been the kind of guy to get involved in family drama. He's the classic middle-of-the-road peacekeeper. So when I saw his name pop up, I almost didn't answer, but I did. He didn't start with small talk. Just said, "You okay, kid?" And I don't know why, but that made me cry. Like actually cry. The kind where your chest caves in and you feel stupid for letting your guard down. I told him I was fine, and he said, "You're not. But I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself." And that was it. That's all I needed. One person. One sentence. Someone who saw what happened and didn't try to make it my fault. I asked if Jenna had talked to him. He said yes. Apparently, she's still insisting that I overreacted, but now she's upset that people keep bringing up tension at her shower. She wants it all to blow over. She's even planning a little baby sprinkle brunch in a few weeks with some of the same people, and from what I hear, she's acting like nothing happened. It made me wonder if she ever really cared about what happened that day, or if she just wanted the optics of sisterly support without the actual effort. Because here's the thing, Jenna and I weren't close growing up. She was always Mom's favorite, the social butterfly, the golden child who got out of speeding tickets and somehow always landed on her feet. I was the one who had to earn everything. So when she asked me to throw her shower, I thought maybe this was a chance to connect, to rebuild something. I wanted to be the kind of sister who showed up. And I did. I showed up with open arms and a fat wallet. And it wasn't enough. The thing that really messed with my head, though, came on Sunday. I was grocery shopping, of all things. Pushing a cart, picking out apples, trying to act normal, when I saw my mom. She didn't see me at first, just walked right past the produce section with Jenna in tow. They were laughing. Full-on laughing like nothing had happened. Jenna even made some comment about how she needed a break from drama. I didn't say anything. I didn't even let myself get angry. I just watched them walk by, picked up my groceries, and left. That night, I deleted the baby shower photos from my phone. Every table setup, every balloon arch, the tiny pastel envelopes I hand-folded for the baby name suggestions game gone. I didn't want them anymore. Not because I was bitter, but because I was done clinging to this illusion that effort equals love. I don't know what happens next. I haven't blocked anyone, but I haven't reached out either. I've been thinking about taking a weekend trip. Just disappearing for a bit. Clear my head. Because I think the hardest part of this wasn't Ashley or even Jenna. It was realizing that my role in this family has always been conditional. I'm useful, but not valued. Present, but not protected. And maybe, for once, I need to protect myself. The weird thing about being cut out without officially being cut out is how subtle it all is. Nobody says, "You're not welcome anymore," but the invitations stop coming. Nobody blocks your number, but the texts dry up. You become a ghost in your own family. And I didn't realize how fast it would happen after that group chat message, but by the end of that next week, it was undeniable I was being iced out. I found out Jenna's sprinkle brunch was happening from Instagram. One of her friends posted a story of the table setup. The same gold-trimmed plates I had custom ordered for the baby shower. Reused without credit. Same table runners. Same theme. But this time, no me. Jenna looked radiant in a white maternity dress, laughing with Ashley and the others like it was her bridal shower all over again. People were clinking glasses, passing around those dumb diaper-shaped cookies I had special ordered from a bakery in Queens. And there, right in the middle of the table, was the exact centerpiece design I made by hand. Spray-painted mason jars with dried lavender and eucalyptus. They hadn't just moved on. They'd taken everything I created and acted like I never existed. It's not even about the credit, really. I don't need applause for knowing how to fold a napkin into the shape of a bunny. It was the erasure. Like they were rewriting the narrative in real time, one where I'd never been involved. One where Ashley was the supportive bestie and I was the unstable, dramatic sister who walked out for no reason. I didn't say anything about the brunch. I didn't comment, didn't send a snarky text. I just watched the stories, closed my phone, and sat there in the silence. It was weirdly peaceful, like I finally stopped chasing something that was never going to happen. But then something unexpected happened. I got a text from my cousin Caleb. Now, Caleb is the black sheep of the family. He's the only one who moved out of state and didn't show up for every holiday dinner with a bottle of wine and a fake smile. He's also the only person who's ever said things out loud that the rest of us just think. He texted me out of nowhere and said, "Hey, just wanted you to know I saw what happened at the shower. Ashley was out of line. You didn't deserve that." I stared at that message for a full 5 minutes. It was the first time anyone in the family acknowledged that I had been wronged, not just sensitive. And the kicker? Caleb wasn't even at the baby shower. He heard everything secondhand from his mom, who apparently thought Ashley's comment was hilarious and couldn't wait to share the gossip. But Caleb, bless him, heard the story and actually saw the problem. I texted him back a simple, "Thank you. That means more than you know." And he said, "Let me know if you ever want to get out of town for a bit. My place has a spare room." That planted the seed. 2 nights later, after Jenna posted a glowing thank you to everyone who's shown up for me and baby girl, I started looking at flights. Not for some big dramatic exit, but just to get out of the noise. I booked a long weekend to visit Caleb, told my job I needed some mental health days, and packed a carry-on. And here's the part that's still messing with me. I didn't tell my family I was leaving. Not even my mom. I just went, and not a single person noticed. The day I flew out, I didn't get a single message from Jenna, my mom, or anyone else in that inner circle. No, "Are you okay?" No, "Where have you been?" Nothing. But you know who did text me that morning? Ashley. She sent a photo of a onesie that said, "Auntie's favorite," and said, "Maybe one day you'll want to be in her life again." No context. No apology. Just that. I didn't respond. I showed it to Caleb when I got to his apartment, and he rolled his eyes so hard I thought they'd get stuck. "Who the hell does she think she is?" he said. "You don't owe anyone anything. Least of all someone who tried to humiliate you in public and then played the victim." I didn't cry. I didn't even feel sad. I just felt done. Caleb and I spent the weekend eating takeout, watching old movies, and talking until 2 in the morning. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't trying to prove anything or fix anything. I was just existing, and it felt good. On the last night, we sat on his tiny balcony, drinking wine, and he said, "You know, you don't have to go back to being their doormat. You can set a new tone." And that stuck with me, because up until then, I'd still been hoping, secretly, that Jenna would come around, that my mom would call, that someone would finally say, "We're sorry. We should have stood up for you." But they didn't. And maybe they won't. And maybe that's okay. Maybe I don't need closure from them. Maybe closure looks like booking a weekend flight and eating dumplings on a couch with someone who actually sees you. But as I was packing to leave, something else happened. Something I didn't expect. I got a message from Jenna's fiancé. So yeah, Jenna's fiancé messaged me. I hadn't spoken to him in months. Not since Christmas, when we all pretended to like each other over dry turkey and a shared sense of obligation. His name's Matt, and he's fine. A little awkward, a little passive, always fading into the background at family stuff. The kind of guy who keeps his head down and just tries to survive the family chaos. I never had strong feelings about him either way, which is probably why I was so thrown off when he reached out. It was just after 10 p.m., and I was halfway through folding laundry in Caleb's guest room when I saw the notification. "Matt, Jenna's fiancé. You got a sec?" I didn't answer right away. I reread it 3 times, then finally replied, "Sure. What's up?" He responded almost immediately. "I know I probably shouldn't get involved, but I wanted to say I'm sorry for what happened at the shower. I was there. I saw the whole thing. I should have said something." I sat down on the bed and just stared at the screen. He kept going. "Ashley's always been like that. Jenna knows it too. She just pretends it's harmless because they've been friends forever. But I saw your face when she said what she said. It wasn't okay. And no one should be asking you to apologize." I had no words. None. This guy, who barely speaks louder than a cough at family events, had more spine than everyone else combined. I didn't even know what to say. He sent another message before I could reply. "Jenna's not as oblivious as she acts. She knows she messed up, but she also doesn't want to admit it. She's been venting to her mom about how ungrateful you are. And I'm not supposed to tell you this, but they're planning to cut you out of the godmother spot." That's when I felt the punch in the gut. See, back when Jenna first found out she was pregnant, she told me, very publicly, during a family dinner, that I was going to be her baby girl's godmother. She cried when she said it, hugged me. My mom teared up. Everyone clapped like it was a proposal. I even remember Ashley clapping slower than everyone else. like her palms physically rejected celebrating me. But still, Jenna said it, meant it, and I believed her. I hadn't thought much about it since the shower because, well, everything went to hell. But now hearing that she was planning to silently swap me out without even telling me, that was the final twist of the knife. Matt added, she's leaning toward asking Ashley, if you can believe that. I actually laughed when I read that. A short, sharp, joyless laugh. Of course she is. Of course the girl who mocked my trauma in front of a crowd is being rewarded with a role that, for years, I dreamed of holding. I finally texted Matt back. Thank you for telling me. Really, I appreciate it more than I can say. He replied with a thumbs up, and that was it. No grand gesture. No family coup. But it was enough. Enough for me to feel like I wasn't losing my mind. The next morning, before my flight home, I went for a walk around Caleb's neighborhood and tried to picture my life without all of them. Without the group chats, the birthday dinners, the fake smiles at Mother's Day brunches. And for the first time, it didn't make me feel lonely. It made me feel free. But life has a twisted sense of humor, and as soon as I got back, my mom called me. Not a text, not a voicemail, a full-blown call. I stared at the screen like it was a bomb about to go off. Against my better judgment, I answered. She started with small talk, like nothing had happened. Asked how my little trip went. Said she heard from Aunt Linda that I was staying with Caleb. I gave short, polite answers, waiting for the real reason she called. Then she said it. I think it's time you came to your senses and apologized to your sister. Just like that. As if nothing had changed. As if I was the one who created this mess. I mean, it's been almost 2 weeks, Morgan. You've made your point. Enough is enough. I didn't respond right away. My throat felt dry. Finally, I said, you know she's replacing me as godmother, right? Silence. Then, a pause. And then the softest, most infuriating, well, things change. Things change. Like my loyalty didn't matter. Like my role in Jenna's life was as disposable as a guest towel. I planned her shower, I said. I spent over $2,000. I gave up a work trip. And all I asked was a little dignity in return. My mom sighed. It's just a baby shower. Why are you making this such a big deal? And there it was. The exact line I knew was coming. The one that always comes when the women in my family want you to forget how much you bled to keep the peace. I'm not coming to the brunch, I told her. It already happened, she replied cold. And it was lovely. We sat in silence for a second. Then she said, you need to decide what kind of daughter you want to be. I hung up. Because I already had. I thought I had hit the limit of how much hurt one person could take from their own family. I thought after the shower, the erasure, the fake apologies, and the call from my mom telling me to decide what kind of daughter I want to be, I'd built up enough scar tissue that nothing else could cut me deeper. I was wrong. A few days after that call, I got a text from one of Jenna's friends. Not one of her close ones, a girl named Lily who's more of a mutual acquaintance, the type you only see at baby showers and birthdays and who always brings store-bought cupcakes and stays exactly 1 hour. The message was simple. Hey, just wanted to give you a heads up. Not sure if you've seen the Facebook post. My stomach dropped. I don't even use Facebook that much anymore, but I opened it immediately, and there it was. Jenna had posted a long, flowery update with a collage of brunch photos, her in a flower crown, Ashley holding up a tiny pink onesie, and the whole brunch crew smiling like they were on a greeting card. The caption started out sweet, thanking everyone for coming. But then the tone shifted. She wrote, I'm so grateful to have friends who show up with love, not ego. This pregnancy has shown me who really supports me and who just wants control. I've learned the hard way that some people only do things for the recognition, and when they don't get the spotlight, they act like martyrs. I won't let negativity touch this next chapter of my life. Maybe girl deserves better than that. My name wasn't in it, but it didn't have to be. Everyone knew. Within minutes, I was getting texts from old coworkers, college friends, even a guy I dated briefly 2 years ago. Everyone wanted to know if I'd seen it, if it was about me, if I was okay. I didn't respond to most of them. I just sat on my couch, rereading the post over and over again like it might suddenly change into something that made sense. I had spent weeks planning her baby shower, burned through my own savings, lost sleep, lost time off work. And now I was the villain in her version of the story, a fame-hungry narcissist who dared to feel hurt when someone turned her personal trauma into a party joke. The post had over 300 likes and a flood of comments. People were cheering her on, saying how proud they were of her for setting boundaries, telling her she doesn't need that kind of energy around her baby. Ashley commented with a string of hearts. My aunt left a comment saying, "You've always been the strong one." I read the part 3 times. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even get mad. I just felt this hollow, silent detachment, like I had slipped out of my own body and was watching it all from a distance. This was who Jenna really was. Not just the golden child, not just the girl who always knew how to spin a story, but someone who could erase me and feel empowered by it. Someone who could twist the knife and call it self-care. I deactivated my Facebook that night, not out of defeat, but because I realized I didn't want to live in her version of reality anymore. The next morning, I went for a walk. No music, no phone, just fresh air and my own thoughts. And somewhere between the coffee shop and the park bench where I sat down to breathe, I made a decision. I was done waiting for the apology that was never coming. I was done playing the role of the supportive sister when all I ever got in return was performance and betrayal. And I was absolutely done watching Ashley slide into the role that was supposed to be mine, godmother, family, trusted. So I did something that felt small but powerful. I boxed up every single thing I had bought for the baby. Every pastel onesie, every customized bib, the storybooks I'd handpicked, even the framed sonogram photo Jenna had sent me with a "For when you miss us" note months ago. I boxed it all, taped it up, addressed it to her house. I left a note on top. One line. "Here's everything I bought for your daughter. No recognition needed." I shipped it that afternoon. She didn't respond. Not that day. Not the next. But I knew she got it because I got the delivery notification, and 2 hours later, my mom texted me. That was petty and uncalled for. I didn't answer. And then, like the universe wanted to throw one more twist at me, 2 days later, I got a message from someone I hadn't heard from in years, my dad's ex-wife, my stepmom. We hadn't spoken since I was maybe 17. She and my dad split up before I finished high school, and she was never super involved in our lives after that. But her message was simple. "Saw what's going on. I know we haven't talked in forever, but I want you to know, what they're doing isn't love. You're not crazy. If you ever need a place to land, my door's open." I hadn't cried this entire time, but I cried then. Big, ugly, gasping sobs on my bathroom floor. Because sometimes the people who barely owe you anything show up harder than the people who were supposed to love you unconditionally. If you told me even a month ago that Ashley would be the one to throw gasoline on this already scorched family bridge, I'd have laughed and said she didn't have the guts. She's always been the kind of petty that thrives in whispers, in passing comments behind people's backs, in jokes that are just venom dressed in glitter. But I guess she finally decided subtlety wasn't cutting it anymore. It started with a tagged post on Instagram, not even from Ashley herself. This came from one of Jenna's high school friends who hadn't been around in years. The kind who shows up for the aesthetic, posts a bunch of boomerangs, and leaves before the dishes are cleared. She tagged Jenna, Ashley, a few other girls, and bizarrely me. The post was a group photo, everyone at brunch again, but this time wearing matching floral robes with Team Mama embroidered on the back. Right in the middle, holding a mocktail and smirking into the camera, was Ashley. And the caption? "So lucky to be chosen as godmother to this precious little girl. Couldn't be more honored. Love you forever, Jenna." I stared at the screen like I'd been slapped. I wasn't even surprised. Not really. Not after Matt's message. Not after the Facebook dig. Not after the silence. But seeing it written out like that, posted for the world, with all those little hearts and congratulations comments, it made something in my chest go cold. She didn't just replace me. She broadcast it. And she had the audacity to let someone tag me in it. I removed the tag immediately, but not before a couple of people messaged me with a mix of "WTF" and "Are you okay?" texts. I didn't answer. I couldn't. I was still too stunned that this was real. That Jenna had given her that title. That someone who took joy in humiliating me now got to be the spiritual guardian of my niece. And then, because Ashley always has to top herself, she DM'd me. Her message was short, almost smug. "Guess Jenna forgives people who don't walk out on her baby shower." I swear to God, my hands were shaking. Not from sadness. From fury. From the kind of controlled, vibrating rage that only comes when someone tries to rewrite your reality to your face. I typed out a dozen responses. Deleted all of them. I knew she wanted a reaction. That's her thing. Poke the bear, play the victim. So instead, I did the only thing that gave me even a shred of control. I screenshotted everything. The post. The message. The previous message where she said she never meant anything personal. I saved them all. And then I blocked her. I didn't send them to Jenna. I didn't post them. But I kept them. Not as leverage, just as proof. Proof that I didn't imagine this. that this wasn't some emotional overreaction like my mom loves to label it. Proof that I was pushed, cornered, and betrayed over and over by the same handful of people who keep telling the world I'm the problem. Later that day, I finally opened up to someone I hadn't told much about the whole situation, my friend Sadie. We've been friends since college, and she's seen me through some of my lowest moments. But I hadn't told her the full story because I felt embarrassed, like I was somehow pathetic for being hurt by a baby shower. But when I laid it all out, from the planning to the insult to the erasure, she didn't say, "Wow, that's a lot." She said, "That's disgusting." She said, "You were set up. That girl had it out for you from the start." She said, "And Jenna? She chose Ashley. She picked her. That tells you everything." That was the moment the sadness officially died. It didn't shrink or melt or drift away. It just turned off, like a switch, because Sadie was right. Jenna didn't forget what Ashley said. She didn't miss it. She chose to ignore it. And then she gave her the exact title that was promised to me. It wasn't an accident. It was a message. And maybe it took losing my place in the family to finally see the truth about it. I didn't confront Jenna. I didn't call her or text her or post a long rant. I just started purging. I deleted old photos, cleared out saved messages, unfollowed the entire brunch brigade, and cleared out the baby shower folder I'd kept on my phone for months. And when I was done, I took myself out for dinner. Alone. A little Italian place with white tablecloths and overpriced wine. I sat by the window. I ordered my favorite pasta. I toasted to no longer being the sister who keeps taking punches to keep the peace. And when the check came, I tipped well. Because kindness is still in me. I'm just done giving it to the wrong people. So here's where the plot really started feeling less like real life and more like some absurd fever dream from a reality show I never signed up for. I was still riding that weird mix of liberation and numbness after cutting ties, having my little dinner for one victory lap, when I got a message that stopped me in my tracks, because it came from Nathan, Ashley's boyfriend. Now, I barely knew the guy. Met him maybe twice, both times at loud family parties where he stood in the corner looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Tall, quiet, uncomfortable in his own skin. Ashley always introduced him with a laugh and some kind of jab. "He's terrible at parties but great at back rubs," stuff like that. I just figured he was her flavor of the month boyfriend, orbiting her drama cloud like a satellite. So I'm sitting at home, half watching a cooking show and avoiding my email, when his name pops up in my Instagram requests. Nathan. I didn't even recognize it at first. Then I saw the profile pic and the tiny message preview. "Hey, I know this is weird." I opened it. Full message said, "Hey, I know this is weird and out of the blue, but I saw some things that made me think I should talk to you. Can I ask you something? You don't have to answer if you're not comfortable." I just stared at it. What the hell could Ashley's boyfriend possibly want from me? For a split second, I thought maybe he wanted to tell me to stop being mean to her, to back off, to be a bigger person again. I nearly deleted it, but something told me to respond. So I did. "Sure. What's this about?" The reply came fast. "Did something happen at the baby shower? Between you and Ashley? She told me you freaked out and stormed off and made the whole thing about you." But then I saw screenshots of the message she sent you about the godmother thing and some stuff she posted. And I don't know. It didn't add up. My heart started racing. I didn't even know what to say. I just sat there with my thumbs hovering over the screen, wondering if I was about to ruin someone else's relationship the way mine with Jenna had just gone up in smoke. He followed up again before I could respond. I only saw the messages because she left her iPad open. I wasn't snooping, I swear. But I saw the way she talked about you, and how proud she was that Jenna picked her instead. She actually said, "That'll teach Morgan to act like she's better than everyone." There it was. The confirmation I didn't want but couldn't look away from. It wasn't just carelessness or some misunderstanding. Ashley planned this. She enjoyed it. She went out of her way to tear me down, not because she was drunk or defensive, but because she wanted to. And now even her boyfriend was seeing it. I finally replied, "Thank you for telling me." I honestly wasn't sure if I was losing my mind. That helps more than you know. Nathan then said something I'll never forget. "You're not crazy. She's been talking about you for months." I thought it was just jealousy or weird competitiveness, but I think she actually hates you. I don't know why, but she's obsessed with making you look bad. And I think Jenna eats it up because it keeps the attention off her own mess. It was like a bucket of cold water. Not because it was shocking by that point. I'd started suspecting the same, but because hearing it from someone inside their circle made it undeniable. He went on to say that Ashley had always had a thing for taking over other people's lives. Jenna's friendship, Jenna's spotlight, Even Jenna's baby had become some kind of crown Ashley wanted to wear. She didn't want to be in the family, she wanted to own it. And then Nathan said, "I think I'm going to break up with her." I didn't know what to say to that. I mean, what do you say to a guy who just realized he's dating the villain in someone else's life story? I told him, "Do what's right for you. But thank you for telling me. I needed to hear this from someone." He replied, "I'm sorry it took this long. And I'm sorry she did that to you. You didn't deserve it." And just like that, the phone went quiet. That night, I barely slept, not because I was upset, but because I couldn't stop thinking about all the years I spent thinking something was wrong with me, that I was too sensitive, too reactive, too hard to get along with. And all this time, there were people like Ashley, operating in the background, pulling strings, whispering poison while I kept second-guessing my own gut. The next morning, I called Sadie and told her everything. She said, "If she did this to you, she's done it to other people too. Watch now that Nathan's out, the cracks are gonna show." And guess what? They did. 2 days later, I got a text from Jenna. Not a call, not an apology, just one cold line. "Did you talk to Nathan?" When Jenna's text came in, "Did you talk to Nathan?" I just sat there staring at my phone, because honestly, I wasn't sure how to respond. There was no punctuation, no greeting, no "hey" or "how are you," just straight into the interrogation. Like she was checking if her fortress had sprung a leak, which, spoiler alert, it had. I didn't respond immediately. I needed to be calm, not reactive. Because if I've learned one thing from this mess, it's that the second you lose your cool, you hand them the narrative. You become the emotional one, the dramatic sister, the problem. And Jenna has spent a lifetime painting me that way. But before I could even decide what to say, she sent another message. "He broke up with Ashley. She said it's your fault." There it was. The real reason she texted. Not because she was concerned. Not because she wanted clarity. But because her little kingdom had taken a hit and someone needed to take the fall. And naturally, that someone was me. I replied, "Nathan reached out to me. I didn't seek him out. And frankly, if what he saw made him walk away from her, that's not on me." She responded within seconds. "You always play victim. You thrive on drama. You couldn't just let it go, could you? You had to turn this into a crusade." That one got to me more than I expected. Because in that moment, I realized something horrible. Jenna didn't believe anything she said Ashley did was wrong. Or if she did, she didn't care. She would rather call me vindictive than admit her best friend had been slowly poisoning the well for years. And it wasn't just about the shower anymore. This ran deeper. This was a girl who'd been quietly resenting me since childhood. For what? I don't even know. For being independent? For not needing a crowd to feel valuable? For not playing along with the family pageant of who's the most put-together daughter? Maybe all of it. I told her, "You picked someone who humiliated me to stand beside your child as her godmother. You let her replace me. And now you're mad at me for not pretending everything's fine." No response. An hour passed. Then 2. Then, finally, a single message came in. "I don't have time for your victim narrative. We're done." That was it. We're done. It didn't even sting the way I thought it would. It just confirmed what I already knew. She'd been done with me the moment I walked out of that shower. The rest was just theatrics. She wanted me quiet, complicit, smiling in the background. The second I pushed back, I became expendable. I told Sadie everything later that night, and she said, "Good. Let her be done. Now you can start writing your own version of this story." And honestly, that sounded better than anything Jenna had to offer. But here's where it got interesting. The next day, I got an email. Not a text. Not a call. An actual email. From Jenna's coworker. A woman named Marlene who I barely knew. Except that she had once drunkenly told me at a Christmas party that Jenna was the most exhausting person she'd ever met. The subject line said, "I don't mean to intrude, but..." The email started off awkwardly, "Apologies for reaching out. Didn't want to overstep. Wasn't sure if it was appropriate." But then she got right to it. Apparently, Ashley had been showing people screenshots of my texts. Out of context. Editing the messages. Painting me like I had some long vendetta against Jenna. She even made a joke, loudly, in the break room, that I was probably going to crash the baptism in black lipstick like a cursed ant in a fairy tale. According to Marlene, people were laughing, but a few weren't. One of them, apparently, told Ashley to knock it off. She shrugged and said, "She'll probably never even know." So Marlene sent me the email, and she ended it with this. "I don't know what happened between you guys, but I think you deserve to know how they're talking about you. You didn't seem like the villain to me when we met, and you still don't." That one hit me like a gut punch. Not because it was mean, because it was kind, quietly kind. The kind of kind that doesn't come with strings or performative family values. Just basic human decency. I wrote her back a simple thank you. Nothing more. Because I was done fighting, but I wasn't done watching. And sure enough, later that night, I got one more message. From an account I didn't recognize. No profile picture. No name. Just a single message. You think you've won. You haven't. I didn't have to ask who it was. That anonymous message, you think you've won. You haven't. It didn't scare me. Not exactly. It just made my stomach turn. Because it confirmed something I'd already been suspecting. Ashley wasn't done. She wasn't content just taking my place, turning Jenna against me, or whispering lies to anyone willing to listen. No, she wanted more. She wanted full demolition. She wasn't just pulling strings, she wanted to burn down whatever was left standing. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The account was deleted less than 10 minutes after the message came through. Classic Ashley move. Throw a rock, hide her hand, then cry victim when someone dares to throw it back. Still, it left a weight on my chest. Like I was being watched. Like the story I tried so hard to move past was still being written behind my back. I went to work the next day and tried to shake it off. Got through emails, sat in a budget meeting, made small talk like everything was fine. But as I was packing up to leave, my phone buzzed with a notification from my bank. I opened it casually, expecting a deposit or some low balance warning on my travel account. Instead, I saw something that made my hands go cold. $347.22 transaction approved. Baby Blossoms Boutique. I hadn't made a purchase. Not that day. Not even that week. My stomach dropped. I opened the app and scrolled. Another charge, $89.90 from Sweet Pea Photography. Then a small one, $12.45 for Uber. All within the past 24 hours. I froze. It hit me all at once. I had used my card to pay for Jenna's baby shower website. Remember that adorable invite portal with RSVP tracking, a gift registry, and the digital guest book? I set it up, created the login, paid for the domain. Because she was too busy, I'd stored my info for easy renewals, and apparently, someone still had access. I opened the email account I'd used for the site, and sure enough, Ashley had logged in 3 days ago. Same IP address as before. And guess what? She'd edited the registry, changed the delivery address on the gift list, and updated the bio to say Godmother Ashley is helping plan the next celebration. I almost laughed. Almost. Because it was so brazen, so cartoonishly evil, I thought I might be hallucinating. But no. She'd hijacked the baby shower portal to funnel new gifts, services, and baby stuff through my account, using my saved payment method. I called my bank immediately, froze the card, started a dispute, filed a report. But the shame of it hit hard. I'd given them access. I made it easy, all because I wanted to help, because I thought being generous would buy me love. I told Sadie everything, of course. She went quiet for a minute, then said something that honestly chilled me. This isn't petty anymore. This is theft. This is calculated. She wants to ruin you. She was right. This wasn't drama. It wasn't gossip. This was a woman who had spent months, maybe years, weaving this slow burn sabotage. The jabs at the shower, the fake apology, the godmother announcement, the public smear campaign, and now, using my money like I was her assistant. I collected the receipts, literally. Screenshots of the purchases, the logins, the IP address history from the site. I printed them, put them in a folder. And I did something I never thought I'd do. I scheduled an appointment with a lawyer. Because at this point, it wasn't about fixing things with Jenna. That ship had sunk, burned, and been buried under volcanic ash. This was about reclaiming my own name, my own sanity, my life. The lawyer, an older woman named Dana, didn't even blink when I told her the story. She'd seen it all, apparently. Family betrayals, fraudulent friends, stolen credit cards between sisters. I handed her the folder. She leafed through it, paused, then looked at me and said, "Do you want to go after her?" It took me a moment to answer, because part of me still hesitated, still felt the ghost of my mother's voice whispering, "Be the bigger person." But that voice had kept me quiet, kept me small, kept me broken and grateful for scraps of decency from people who would gladly dance on my ashes. So I said, "Yes, I do." Dana smiled like she'd been waiting for me to get there. "Then we start with a cease and desist. You'll serve her officially. And if she tries to use your information again, we go to court. Civil, small claims, whatever it takes." I walked out of that office shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline, from rage and freedom and the quiet satisfaction of finally drawing a line. That night, Jenna called me. Not texted, called. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. "Whatever you think you're doing, don't. This has gone too far. You're going to tear this family apart over what? A party? A title? Grow up." I replayed that message 3 times. Then I saved it. I sent it to Dana. Because if I'm going down, I'm not going alone. The cease and desist letter went out on a Thursday morning. Certified mail, signature required, hand-delivered to Ashley's apartment with a return receipt so airtight even her crocodile tears wouldn't slip through the cracks. Dana made sure it was worded firmly but legally, listing every instance of unauthorized use of my financial information and website access, complete with timestamps and IP logs. It ended with the line, "Further use of the aforementioned resources will result in immediate legal escalation." I didn't feel vindicated right away. I felt numb, like I'd finally pushed the button on a bomb I'd spent weeks building. It was necessary, yeah, but still terrifying. My entire life, I've been trained to keep the peace, to patch things up with a smile and a half-hearted, "It's fine," even when I was bleeding. And now here I was, putting things in writing, with a lawyer. I'd crossed the Rubicon. The reaction came faster than I expected. By Friday night, my phone exploded. Missed calls, voicemails, texts from family members who hadn't reached out in months. It turns out Jenna had found out about the cease and desist and, in true Jenna fashion, went on a PR campaign to make sure she was the one telling the story first. My cousin sent me a screenshot from Jenna's Instagram story. It was a quote graphic, you know the kind, with a pastel background in cursive font. It read, "Family means forgiveness. Revenge is for the weak." Then in smaller text underneath, "You don't destroy your bloodline because of petty pride." She had tagged #godmother, #protecting my family, and #rising above. And Ashley? She posted a selfie holding the letter. Yes, she actually posted a photo holding the cease and desist letter, clutching it like a Starbucks cup, captioned, "When jealousy goes legal, pray for your enemies." I wasn't even mad. I was impressed. The level of unearned confidence it takes to commit fraud, get caught, then act like you're the victim? That's Olympic-level delusion. I sent both screenshots to Dana, who dryly said, "Let them keep talking. They're making our case for us." Then came the real storm, my mom. Saturday morning, she showed up at my apartment. No call, no warning, just a frantic knock on the door like someone had died. I opened it. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept since Jenna called her. "You sued your sister's best friend," she hissed the second I let her in. Not a hello, not a "how are you?" Just straight into it. "She's not being sued," I said calmly. "She was served a cease and desist for unauthorized use of my money. She committed fraud." "Oh, come on, Morgan," she snapped. "You sound ridiculous. Do you hear yourself? It's a baby shower. A few charges. Is this really the hill you want to die on?" "No," I said. "The hill I'm dying on is that I won't be stolen from, lied about, and humiliated and expected to smile through it." She blinked, like she hadn't considered for even a second that I might have a right to be angry. That maybe this wasn't about a cake or a brunch or a title, but about being done with swallowing my voice for everyone else's comfort. "You could have come to me," she said. Soft now. Manipulative. "We could have handled it like a family. Like how you handled the baby shower?" I asked. "By ignoring me? Letting someone mock me in front of everyone? Then telling me to apologize for leaving?" Silence. Then she said something I'll never forget. "You've always been so sensitive, so hard to love." It hit me like a slap. I felt it in my spine. And for a second, just 1 second, I saw every moment flash through my mind, the birthday she forgot, the time she brushed off my tears, the way she always looked at Jenna like she hung the moon and at me like I was an inconvenience. And I said, "Then stop trying." She left without another word. I closed the door and cried for exactly 7 minutes. Then I stood up, locked the door, and got ready for work like it was any other day. Because I realized something crucial in that moment: her love had always come with conditions. And now I was done earning it. By Monday, things got worse. Ashley's lawyer reached out, or tried to. They sent a sloppy, passive email trying to scare me into backing off, saying I had no grounds, and that the charges were incidental, that Ashley had full permission from Jenna to use the registry. I forwarded it to Dana without even opening the attachment. She replied, "Let them try me." That night, I posted something. Just one story. Black background. White text. "Standing up for yourself will always look like disrespect to those who only respected your silence." I didn't name anyone. Didn't tag. Didn't respond to the dozens of "OMG, who is this about?" messages that followed. I didn't have to. Jenna messaged me within an hour. "You're really going to drag this out for attention, aren't you?" I didn't answer. I archived the message. Then I blocked her, because I wasn't dragging anything out. I was finally walking away. 3 days after I blocked Jenna, just when I thought the dust might finally start to settle, I got a message from someone I never, ever expected, and Jackie. Now, if you don't know Aunt Jackie, here's the rundown. She's my mom's younger sister, the black sheep of the family, the one who moved to Arizona 20 years ago after a massive falling out with my grandmother. She sends a Christmas card every other year, has a Pinterest board dedicated to UFO sightings, and once told me at a family wedding that staying quiet is how women die inside. Real subtle. I hadn't heard from her in years. Her message came through Facebook Messenger, of all places. I didn't even know she had Facebook. Just heard what's going on. Call me. Don't text. Jackie. I stared at it for a full minute before picking up my phone. I didn't know what she wanted, but my curiosity got the better of me. I called her. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, kid, she said, like we'd just spoken last week. You all right? I didn't know what to say. I just kind of muttered, yeah, I guess. And she let out this low whistle like she'd just heard the headline version of my life and was halfway through a bag of popcorn waiting for the details. I'm gonna make this quick, she said, because if I get sucked into your mom's drama vortex again, I'll need to sage my entire house. You're not crazy. You're not wrong. And I've been there. That got my attention. She told me that years ago, long before I was old enough to notice, she had her own fallout with my mom and their sister, Aunt Linda. Something about money. Something about betrayal. Something about a birthday party that got stolen. The details were messy and full of the same pattern I was starting to recognize. Someone made a scene. Jackie spoke up. Everyone turned on her. You know what they hate? She said. A woman who says no. You say no to helping. No to enabling. No to fake smiles and forced apologies. And suddenly you're the family villain. My throat got tight. Because that's exactly how it had felt. Like the moment I stopped performing, stopped playing the helpful little sister who gave and gave without asking for anything, I became the threat. She told me my mom had been calling around, trying to manage the narrative, saying I was being dramatic, litigious, possibly unstable, that she was worried about me. Classic. I told her, Jackie said, that maybe you're just done being disrespected, and if that makes you unstable, then I should be in a padded room. I laughed, first real laugh in days. And then Jackie said the thing that cracked something open in me. You don't owe any of them forgiveness. Not now. Not later. And certainly not while they're still trying to bury you with their version of events. I thanked her, told her she didn't know how much that meant. She paused and said, I do. I know exactly how much it means. Took me 30 years to get that kind of call. I figured I'd make it sooner for someone else. And just like that, I wasn't alone anymore. It's wild how someone you barely hear from, someone technically outside the core drama, can show more empathy in 5 minutes than your entire immediate family has in months. After I hung up, I sat with it. The validation, the grief, the relief, all of it. And that's when I made a decision. I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to rebuild, starting with boundaries. I wrote out a list. Real pen, real paper. No more explaining myself to people committed to misunderstanding me. No more bending over backwards to be included in spaces where I'm only tolerated. No more giving people access to me just because they share my blood. And then, I did something I probably should have done long ago. I wrote a letter. Not to send, not to frame, just for myself. A goodbye letter to the version of me that tolerated all of it. The girl who thought love was something you had to earn. The woman who accepted crumbs of decency and called it closeness. The sister who kept showing up, hoping this time would be different. And I wrote one more line, right at the bottom. Never again. I should have known Ashley wasn't going to slink away quietly after the cease and desist. She doesn't do quiet. She does petty, theatrical, scorched earth-style meltdowns dressed up as martyrdom. And right on cue, not even a week after I started putting myself back together, she made her next move. It started with a fake apology. A classic Ashley maneuver. She posted a Notes app screenshot on Instagram. Black text, white background. That fake humble tone people use when they're about to throw gasoline, but want to pretend it's holy water. She started with the usual. I've debated whether to say anything, but I'm a big believer in transparency and healing. If I've hurt anyone during this really emotional time, I'm truly sorry. I've made mistakes. We all have, but I've never acted out of cruelty. And then, without naming names, of course, she launched into this full-blown character assassination. She talked about people who inserted themselves into roles that were never meant for them, about how some women think buying things equals love, and how manipulation can wear a smile and still be poison. The kicker? My biggest mistake was trying to protect someone who was determined to be a victim. But I won't apologize for protecting my peace and my chosen family. That phrase, chosen family, Might as well have been a slap. Because I knew what she was doing. She was closing the door, locking it, sealing it shut in public so that even if Jenna wanted to walk it back, she couldn't without looking like she'd betrayed her bestie. And Jenna? She reposted it. No caption, no comment, just a quiet, complicit cosign. That was the moment I knew the bridge wasn't just burned, it had been vaporized. No coming back. No quiet reconnection in a few years. No reunion photo at some future family barbecue where we all pretend this never happened. They'd chosen each other. Over truth. Over loyalty. Over family. Over me. And fine. Let them have each other. But the next part? That's when Ashley went too far. Because Ashley, bless her bitter little heart, decided that if she couldn't get a reaction out of me directly, she'd go after my reputation instead. She made a TikTok. Oh yes, a TikTok. I only found out because Sadie texted me with a screen recording and the message. I swear to God, do not open the app. Just watch this first. Ashley had filmed herself sitting at a table with a candle lit like she was about to host a seance. She was dressed in soft beige, no makeup, hair pulled back in a "see how chill I am" bun, and she launched into a story time. She talked about a baby shower gone wrong, about jealousy in families, about how some people will try to buy your love and call it generosity. She hinted at legal threats and stolen joy and emotional abuse masked as helpfulness. At no point did she say my name. She didn't have to. She used phrases like the older sister, the one who stormed out, the one who threw money and tantrums, and my personal favorite, sometimes the villain is just a woman who didn't get her way. It was a performance. A polished, premeditated piece of PR content designed to make her the wounded truth teller and me the bitter, unhinged sibling who couldn't handle being replaced. And the comments? OMG, I totally know someone like this. Protect your peace, queen. Family can be the most toxic FR. I hope the baby never meets that woman. That last one? That one made me physically ill. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, wondering how the hell we got here. How telling someone not to mock my trauma at a party I paid for had turned into a viral sob story where I was now the villain in beige. Dana called me the next morning, already ahead of it. Someone had sent her the video. She said, "We're documenting everything. Let her keep posting. It all goes into the file. You're playing chess. She's playing Jenga on a tilted table." And maybe she was right. Maybe it was all going to collapse eventually. But in the moment, I felt raw, hollowed out, tired in my bones. I wasn't trying to win. I wasn't trying to be the better person anymore. I just wanted to be left alone. But Ashley had made one misstep in all her performance art. Because someone in the comments, someone anonymous, probably thinking they were being helpful, posted a link. A link to my old art blog. Yeah, that one. The one I hadn't updated in over a year. The one with posts about grief and recovery and the long, ugly healing from childhood wounds. And now? It had hundreds of new views. Because Ashley's flying monkeys had found it. And they were combing through it, looking for evidence that I was unstable, dramatic, too emotional to be trusted. I stared at the analytics. The spike in traffic. The comments I had to disable. The DM requests from people I didn't know. And then I did something that surprised even me. I wrote a new post. A direct one. Titled, "If you came here from TikTok, stay a while." I laid it out, not names, not details, but truth. About the cost of silence. About how women are always told to smile, to be quiet, to keep the peace. About what happens when we finally say no and people lose their minds because the scapegoat stood up. I ended it with this. You can rewrite the narrative all you want, but I was there. I remember every word, and I'm not ashamed of the day I finally left the table where love was conditional. I hit publish, and for the first time in weeks, I felt clean. The blog post changed everything. I didn't expect it to. I wrote it more for myself than anyone else, a sort of emotional purge, something to replace the silence Ashley was filling with her pastel-filtered delusions. I closed the laptop after I hit publish, fully expecting to delete it in a few days. But when I checked back the next morning, it had over 8,000 views and nearly 300 comments. Most of them were from strangers. Women. People who didn't know me, who hadn't been at the baby shower, who had never met Jenna or Ashley or my mother, but who read those words and said, "I've been there." The validation from strangers felt more intimate than anything I'd gotten from my own blood. And then, right as I was about to close the tab, I saw the email. A single subject line that made me sit up so fast I spilled my coffee. "I think I owe you an apology." It was from Caitlin, Ashley's old best friend. Now that name might not ring a bell, but back when Jenna and Ashley were just college freshmen bonding over eyeliner and mutual chaos, Caitlin was Ashley's ride or die. until she wasn't. Rumor in the family was that Caitlin had just drifted after graduation. Ashley never talked about her, and when someone brought her up once at a cookout, Ashley changed the subject so fast it gave me whiplash. Turns out, they didn't drift. Caitlin had been exiled. Her email was long, but I read every word of it, twice. Then a third time. She started by saying she found the blog post from TikTok, not directly, but through a friend who recognized the story immediately, because she lived a version of it herself, years ago. Different setting, same Ashley. Back when they were friends, Ashley used to make Caitlin feel like a star, until she wasn't useful anymore. Caitlin told me about a time she landed a job Ashley wanted. Suddenly, Ashley started accidentally excluding her from group texts, telling mutual friends Caitlin was too intense. Caitlin backed off, gave space, tried to fix it, but it kept getting worse. Subtle jabs, silent treatments. Then one day, Ashley pulled the ultimate move. She staged a confrontation in front of their entire friend group, painting Caitlin as unstable, jealous, overbearing. Sound familiar? I lost all of them, she wrote. People I'd known for years. Because she was better at being loud than I was at being honest. And then came the part that made my hands shake. When I saw what she did to you, and how she twisted your own sister against you, it made me sick. But it also made me realize something. Ashley doesn't hate you. She needs you. She needs someone to cast as the villain so she can be the hero. You're just the latest version of me. I had to stop reading. I was crying. Like ugly, deep crying. Because someone else had lived through the same fire. And now she was standing in the ashes with me, holding out a hand. Caitlin ended her message by saying, if you ever want to talk, really talk, I'm here. Because I get it. And you're not alone. Not even close. I stared at my screen for a while. Then I wrote her back. We ended up talking on the phone that night, for nearly 2 hours. It was eerie how much of our stories overlapped, how similar the language was. The way Ashley made you feel like you were lucky to be in her orbit, even while she slowly turned everyone else against you. The way she'd smile while feeding people poison about you. The way she'd always find a new audience. I think she's addicted to being the center of someone else's downfall, Caitlin said. Like it makes her feel more important if she's constantly triumphing over someone. And then she said something that stopped me cold. You know she's done this to Jenna before, right? I went quiet. Apparently, there was a stretch of time, about a year before the pregnancy, where Ashley and Jenna had a falling out. Something about a boy. Something about Jenna getting close to a new friend and Ashley not liking it. Caitlin didn't know the full story, but she knew this. Ashley told people Jenna was toxic, emotionally unstable, and not cut out for real friendship. For about 3 months, they didn't speak. Then Jenna got dumped by the guy, and Ashley swooped back in, and Jenna let her. Once you let Ashley rewrite a chapter of your life, Caitlin said, you start convincing yourself she's just misunderstood. Until it's your turn on the chopping block. We stayed on the phone until close to midnight. And when I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. Not because everything was fixed. Not because I had closure. But because I finally understood. This was never about me. Ashley didn't come after me because of what I did. She came after me because of who she is. And because of how easy Jenna made it. It didn't excuse the betrayal, but it freed me from carrying all the weight of it. I didn't ruin our family. I didn't break Jenna's heart. I didn't bring drama or seek attention. I just stopped playing the role they wrote for me. It was a Sunday afternoon, the sky heavy with that kind of thick, gray stillness that makes you want to close the blinds and disappear for a while. I was folding laundry, half listening to a podcast about boundary setting in toxic families. The irony wasn't lost on me when someone knocked on my door. Not buzzed. Not texted. Knocked. Soft but steady. I froze. Because no one ever just shows up at my place unannounced. I looked through the peephole. It was Jenna, 8.5 months pregnant, puffy-faced, no makeup. Her hair pulled back in a messy knot that looked nothing like her usual Instagram-ready styling. She stood there in a giant hoodie and flip-flops, holding her stomach like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I didn't open the door right away. I just stood there staring. Because 100 versions of this moment had played out in my head, but none of them looked like this. Finally, I opened the door a few inches. Hey, she said, her voice already trembling. I didn't say anything. I didn't know where else to go. Still, I didn't speak. I didn't invite her in. Not yet. She looked up at me and said, Ashley told everyone I was going to name the baby after her. That I asked her to move in. That God, I don't even know. She's been telling people I'm sick. That I'm paranoid. That I can't handle being a mom. That last line broke something in her voice. She covered her mouth with her hand like she could stop the words from leaking out, but they were already there. She took over everything. My baby registry. The guest list for the sprinkle. She told my OB I wanted her in the delivery room and uninvited Matt. I didn't even know until the hospital called to confirm. That's when it hit me. Ashley hadn't stopped at the baby shower. She had wormed her way into every part of Jenna's life, just like Caitlin said she would. I stepped aside and let her in. She walked in like someone who had lost a war. Not dramatic, not crying loudly, just exhausted, haunted. She sat down on my couch like her legs couldn't hold her anymore and looked around like she'd forgotten what peace felt like. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Not just for what she did, for what I did. To you." She looked me dead in the eyes. "I let her make you the villain because it was easier than facing the fact that I was the one who invited the monster in. It took everything in me not to cry right then. Because as much damage as Jenna had done, and it was a lot, I could see it in her face. She finally got it. I didn't say, 'It's okay,' because it wasn't. I didn't hug her, because I wasn't ready. But I sat down across from her and said, 'What happened?' And she told me everything. How Ashley had slowly isolated her from everyone who wasn't on board. How she convinced Jenna that Matt was unsupportive, that their mom was toxic, that Jenna needed a real village and she was it. How she'd moved into Jenna's spare room, just to help, and slowly started throwing away baby items Jenna didn't approve of. How she took over the baby's Instagram account before the baby was even born. She said you were going to ruin everything, Jenna said, wiping her eyes. But I think she just didn't want you around because you saw her for what she was. I nodded. Because yeah, I did. I always did. Jenna pulled a piece of paper out of her purse. A copy of my blog post, printed out, annotated in her handwriting. She made me read it, she said. She wanted to dissect it, mock it. But instead, I read it, really read it. And it broke me. We sat there in silence. Not tense, just still. After a while, I asked, "Is she still living with you?" Jenna shook her head. "No." I told her to leave. She screamed, threw things, said I was ungrateful, said she was calling CPS because I'm clearly not mentally stable enough to raise a baby. My hands curled into fists. "She threatened you?" "She did worse," Jenna said. "But I recorded it. Matt's got a lawyer. We're dealing with it." She looked down at her belly. "I don't want that energy anywhere near my daughter. And I don't want to raise her in a family where love means obedience." I didn't know what to say to that. So instead, I said the only thing I could. "I'm glad you came." She looked up, teary-eyed, hopeful, broken, but somehow stronger than I'd ever seen her. "I don't expect forgiveness," she whispered, "but I'd give anything for a second chance." And this time, I did hug her. Not because everything was fixed, but because finally, for the first time in years, I wasn't the only one standing in the truth. We're not okay. Not yet. Maybe not ever in the way we once were. But she left that day with a sense of humility I never thought I'd see in her. And I was left with something I hadn't felt in months. Relief, because I survived it. The erasure, the betrayal, the humiliation, the heartbreak. I survived, Ashley. And I didn't lose myself to do it. If you're reading this wondering if it's worth it to stand your ground, even when it means standing alone, let me be the one to tell you, it is. Every time.